update on his front?
Yeah, he's, it was no use putting him out there to aggravate what he's got, and we have to do some work in the gym. He'll try and warm up, and that will be up to him after that. I'm kind of 50-50 if he's going to be able to play or not.
Okay, so game time decision on his front.
Yeah.
Jeff Petrie, tough, road trip in terms of plus minus for him. I think he went -7. He played pretty well against Anaheim, but he's a very polarizing figure here in town. And just your thoughts on what you're seeing out of Jeff. You certainly use him in terms of the matchups against the other team's top line. Your thoughts with the player, and maybe some of the criticism that's directed his way.
Yeah, I think, a lot of it's unfair. This is a guy that we constantly play against the other team's top line. We haven't had a whole lot of experience on our blue line, and he's been able to take those minutes. And the biggest thing with Jeff is that he wants the minutes. He's come to me and he wants to be that guy, and it's an evolution of a defenseman. And I think in the market you got to be very, very careful of pushing guys out of it too quickly. And I think if you look around at different organizations, you can easily get down on a guy, move him along, and then you're dying for him back. And Petey's a guy that we're continuing to work with. I know he had a rough road trip, but I don't know, I think if you went back through the last 25 or 30 games leading up to that, I would guess that he was pretty much pretty close to at least an even player going up against the other guy's top lines. There's I know, and this happens constantly with bigger players. Petey's a big guy, and for whatever reason, everybody wants every big guy to be nasty and mean, and I think that's unfair. Why don't we want our smaller guys to be nasty and mean? It's always the big guy that has to be that way, and I think Petey's shown at times this year that he can manufacture that nastiness. But in the end, he's just going to be a real solid defenseman for us that we should be able to play against the top lines, the second lines, give us some PK minutes, and I'm hopeful in the future that he's able to take on some second line power play minutes. He's shown flashes of that. With the physicality, we've talked about it before with the hit charts every night. I'm not sure if they're right or if they're wrong, but if they're right or wrong across the league, within defensemen, the last time I looked, I think he was in the top 20 in hits. So a lot of this is, I think we become so focused on a player sometimes, but for me, he's taken steps forward. He's still learning his trade, and it takes defensemen sometimes quite a while to get it, and we've got to be very careful dumping on this young man.
In the past, we would say that if he doesn't want to play that mean game that you're talking about, he should have some partners or someone else on defense that can fill in that role. Are we still in 2014 in need of someone back on your defensive core that plays the game that you described?
What game did I describe?
Well, the mean,
I'm
scared of your defenseman. Do we still need that guy, or are we past that time?
Well, you know what? I've always loved having toughness on my teams. It's the old school part of me, and the old school part of me is starting to get questions. And it's when you look around the league now, the teams are changing their makeup, and there's teams that are playing a heavy game, but not a lot of meanness. They just go and they check and they play high pace. So it's across. I don't have the answer for you. I could easily stand here and argue that yes, we need that. We've got a guy back there that's more than willing to fill the role with Mark Fraser. One side of me says, absolutely, we need the toughness. We need toughness up front. We need it on our back end. And then I can go right out 2 days later, go the other way and say, we need puck-moving guys. We just need to play fast, and that's it. And it goes back to, I just remembered a conversation I had with Paul Maurice. I was an assistant coach, and we were talking about defensemen. It was about halfway during the year. And he said to me, go right now. I want to know how many hits Lidstrom's has right now. And I went and I looked, and then I thought it was wrong. It was like halfway during the year, the guy's the best defenseman in the league, best defensive defenseman in the league, and he had 1 hit. And I was like, that can't be right. He's had to have run into somebody else. But, Mark, and that's the honest to God's truth. I'm not trying to get out of the question. There's one side of me that says, yes, we need to old school it, and we've got to have those guys. And then there's another side of me looking at how some other teams are building, and I'm not sure.
You're talking about things that you didn't realize. What have you realized about yourself? There's obviously some misconceptions or feelings you had coming in as a first year coach. Here's the way that I want the team to play, and yet halfway through the year, no, can't play that way. You go to bed every night saying, oh, no, this isn't the way we got to play, or we got to play differently.
No, I've got to, I know exactly how we have to play now. I think the only thing I've really changed is and listen, as a coach, you can do one of two things. You can try to take the square pegs and put them into round holes, or you can find the system that's right for your group. And I think I know the one mistake that I made with our group was implementing that swarm defense to start the season. We weren't ready for it. It left us exposed. It left our goaltending exposed. And that's on me. I take full responsibility for it. And so then when you get to the point in the season, and it was fairly early on, that you know that this isn't going to work, you can do one of two things as a coach. You can go, you know what, screw you guys, we're going to keep doing this until we get it to work, or we can move to something else that's maybe a little bit better for the team. And I knew in my heart at that time that it was time to move on. And so I made the change. And I think we've adjusted quite well. We need to add one more tweak to what we're doing, and it's just an aggression thing now. But we won't move to that until training camp. We've upped it a little bit, but the next step will be next year. So I think that's the one thing I know for sure. The only other thing that's happened here is, and this is one you don't know as a coach until you get into it, we had to totally reset this group on the way they viewed themselves, the way that they thought they were going to play the game, how they thought they were built, and the biggest thing were the habits. And the only good of our suffering this year has been that we have been able to take, as a group, as individuals, take a hard look at the good teams and what they're doing. And our group fully understands how we need to play, what our identity needs to be moving forward. And that's about the biggest bit of encouragement that I have moving forward.
How do you like this sort of three-game sets or versus Anaheim and some of these other playoff-bound or division-winning type teams? How do you sense your team has really stepped up to play better against these better clubs?
Yeah, I thought we played well on the road trip. You're still looking to find a way to get the points when you're that close. When we were in San Jose, when we're in Anaheim, I thought we had those teams on the ropes a little bit, but we weren't able to get the points, and we've got to find a way. So, we're fine with the way we've played. I thought we played a good game in Phoenix, and we were able to get the points. But our guys sense now when you get to the end, it's interesting. Every game means everything every night, except for when you get to the end, the games become more important. And even though that we know we're going to be done come the end of this week, the games they mean something to the other teams one way or the other. So there maybe a team's trying to get first place in their division or their conference, or a team like Phoenix is fighting for their playoff lives. And so the guys understand what's on the line, and I think they've been able to bring a little bit more. It goes to, I was just reading this article last week about how athletes, they're talking about endurance athletes, how they're totally spent when they get to the finish line, but somehow they're able to go faster when they see the finish line. So it's that mental boost where you think they've spent it all, but they haven't. They're able to find more, and I think that's maybe what's happened to our group, knowing that, hey, there is something on the line, and they see that, and they've been able to up their game. Now the challenge is, and we've spoken about this, is that has to be every night, especially for our team moving forward, moving into next year, because we can't ease into the season next year. It's got to be on right away. The teams with the great starts this year have all had good years.
Maybe this is going to wind up with a similar answer to what you just told Gene, but you appeared to have a more aggressive forecheck on this road trip. Now, is that a product of that top line spurring everybody, you giving guys more of a green light, or anything like that?
No, it was the next step. It's I believe in bringing things. I guess I equate it to school. You've got to learn to add and subtract before you move on to multiplication. That's easy for me to say. So we started with our forecheck, and then as we learned more about ourselves, we were at a time where I thought it was time to go with it, and we need more offensive zone time. We have to find more offense, and that's a way to do it. And it hasn't been just the top line there. It's been our whole team. They've been very aggressive. Our D are up, and that's something that we will firmly continue forward.
Dallas, you're always mentioning that heavy teams in the league, yet one successful team in the league in the West has a similar makeup to you, and that's Colorado. Smaller, aggressive forward. Do you look at their team too and say if we should be able to play like their team? We're not as heavy as these other teams, but we should be able to play like them.
Yeah, they're a good team.
Offensive forwards.
Yeah.
Average defense, good goaltending.
Yeah, and it's one thing, if I say what I want to say, it's going to come off that I'm maybe disparaging their team, and I don't want to do that because they have had an excellent season, and yeah, our makeup is similar, but I think I don't think we're going to play a different game than that moving forward.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Dallas.